I want to say all praises to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Shalom to the hopeful elect, and double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS who were well. Now, I was just watching this video, and I thought it'd be interesting to, bring this out because I actually looked up something the other day because I was walking down the road and I saw a black woman pat her hair and it reminded me of my ex, and I was thinking, why do black women pat their hair? I had to Google it, and when I found out, I just couldn't stop laughing. And then this came across my way, and I just thought I'd fill it through the scriptures. I know there's prophecy going on, but it's all part of the body. So without further ado,
Our wall is our collection of braid hair and crochet hair.
The neighborhood beauty supply store, a fixture of many African American communities.
This one? Okay.
Part of an industry that revolves around the business of hair.
The first thing people see a lot of times is our hair.
It's a business worth billions, selling largely to African American consumers.
The business of hair extensions is booming.
Frankisha Watkins, owner of Bee Polished Beauty Supply in Arlington, Texas, says her average customer spends more than $100 a month on hair care.
Growing up as an African American woman, we're told our hair is our glory.
But even professionals say they know very little when it comes to the origin of all this hair.
This one actually does not list where exactly it's from.
In fact, the majority of it comes from China. Last year, China sold around $1 billion worth of real and synthetic hair to the U.S.
Lord, making a
This,
killing.
one of the most intimate parts of a person's body, is also a valuable international commodity that industry insiders refer to as black gold. And this is a
Just 'cause they're
sample
making
that
money
I
from
ordered
black meat.
online. It was advertised as untreated Xinjiang human hair, sourced from a part of China
A virgin
that is
my
steeped
ass.
in allegations of human rights abuses. In July, U.S. Customs and Border Protection delivered a shock to the industry. The seizure of a shipment of around 13 tons of human hair, worth more than $800,000.
We had a reasonable suspicion that the goods made in the shipment were produced using forced labor in China.
The hair comes from this industrial park in China's northwest Xinjiang region. A Chinese state TV report identifies these factories as part of a government-backed poverty alleviation program. The government has offered tax incentives and cheap labor to investors in the hair factories in what it says is an effort to employ thousands of people like this man.
My goal is to make one more wig every day.
Similar government videos have been made about other factories in Xinjiang, like this apparel factory. But CNN spoke with a woman who worked at the apparel factory, who says the reality was very different from images shown on Chinese state TV.
None of us work there of our own free will.
Gulzira Awulkhan is an ethnic Kazakh originally from Xinjiang who emigrated to neighboring Kazakhstan. On a return trip to Xinjiang to visit her father in 2017, she says Chinese authorities detained her at the border.
They told me I came from a terrorist country. They cut my hair, took my blood samples.
Awulkhan says she was kept in an internment camp, in a cell with 20 to 30 people sharing a bucket for a toilet. Human rights groups and the U.S. government accuse China of a massive detention campaign, rounding up more than 1 million ethnic Uyghur Muslims and members of other ethnic minorities into internment camps. Beijing calls the camps vocational training centers, aimed at eradicating violent extremism. But CNN has heard first-hand testimony from survivors of these internment camps who say they were arbitrarily detained in horrific conditions for months, enduring torture and other indignities like having their hair chopped off.
That's where your hair comes
CNN's
from.
investigation has not been able to confirm what happens to this shorn hair. But Awulkhan's first-hand account supports the U.S. government accusation some Chinese exports from Xinjiang are being made with forced labor. After surviving 15 months in the camps, unable to return to her husband and child in Kazakhstan, she was ordered to work at a factory, sewing gloves that were exported to the U.S. and Europe.
They told me if I refused, I would be sent back to the camp.
Awal Khan says this image from another Chinese state media report shows her at a sewing machine while a VIP delegation toured the factory. Her description matches that of this man, Yerzhan Kurman, another ethnic Kazakh who says he spent 9 months in internment camps before being forced to work in the same factory alongside Awal Khan for 2 months.
We couldn't do anything without permission.
Speaking from safety in Kazakhstan after their release, the two former detainees have a warning for Western consumers.
I'm against these Chinese products. They are made through slavery. So many people were crying while making these products.
To try to end this alleged modern-day slavery, the U.S. government is now banning imports of some products made with suspected forced labor in Xinjiang, though U.S. officials have not provided evidence, citing an ongoing criminal investigation. U.S. officials did, however, highlight this industrial park, which made the 13 tons of hair products that U.S. Customs seized over the summer, alleging the park uses workers from nearby internment camps. CNN is determined there are at least 4 suspected camps, all walking distance from the factories. The hair companies didn't respond to CNN's request for comment. These Chinese government photos show detainees in one of the camps in 2017. Over the last 3 years, the camps and the industrial park grew rapidly. During that same period, hair exports also surged from the companies in the industrial park to the U.S. One of the biggest buyers of synthetic hair was I&I Hair, headquartered in Dallas. I&I Hair says it cut off ties with suppliers in Xinjiang in January.
I don't think a lot of us even spend time looking into these issues of internment camps and these other things. And so we were completely oblivious to it. And I believe that a lot of other people in the industry are as well.
That's something the U.S. government wants to change.
Our strong message is to those U.S. importers. They need to know their supply chain and stop producing goods made with forced labor.
The Chinese government denounces what it calls U.S. bullying.
Under the pretext of the so-called forced labor, the U.S. has taken restrictive measure against relevant Chinese companies, which violates international trade rules.
Those denials haven't convinced Tiffany Gill, author of the book Beauty Shop Politics.
I find it particularly sad that a product that is consumed in such large quantities by African American women is produced under exploitative forced labor conditions, particularly when we think about the history of African Americans.
Stylist Michaela Lowe Davis, who crafts what she calls women's crowns, says it's time her industry wakes up to what's going on half a world away.
There should be a wake-up call and more education as well, as far as where the hair comes from.
You should educate
Because I
yourself
definitely
on diet,
don't want it
lady.
to come from slave labor or anything like that.
Ivan Watson, CNN.
Like, you don't really care. Like, you will stop buying it. Which, I'm gonna get a few scriptures. Because you see the Chinese people getting mad over the international sanctions, and we all know that's one of the things that's gonna lead to, Joel 3:10, which is beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong. So China is not really weak like that, but it's weaker than the US. But because of these sanctions, it's gonna cause all these types of political problems. And we know one of the reasons why these so-called black women, love putting this horsehair and virgin hair in their head is because the glory of a woman, is her hair. Corinthians 11:15 said in King James Bible, but if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering. The glory of a man is a woman, but the glory of a woman is her hair, which just shows how vain women are. You see them with wig spray. That's another thing I wanted to touch on because yeah, again, I saw some black woman pat her hair, and I had to Google this. It's pat your weave. When you get a fine hair weave and it itches, you stay looking fly by patting it instead of scratching your hair. This is because a weave is not your actual hair, so you can't scratch your actual scalp to relieve the itch. Now, and you know, anyone with a brain just actually understands how vain and pointless that is, which leads me to Ecclesiastes 1:14. I've seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit. So, you know, if you're righteous, or you're trying to be righteous, you know, you seeing that people having their hair cut off, you know, at the end of the day, it is a glory of a woman. So to cut off a woman's hair because you're going to sell it to another woman, you know, it's kind of vain, and it's kind of vexing, you know, to see all this stupid stuff. Is like robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know, it's just pointless. You know what I mean? All because people want to turn a profit, and at the end of the day, these industries wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the curses in Deuteronomy 28:48. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness. See, your scalp is naked. You can't grow your hair. Hence why you need to buy hair and wear a wig. And in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So he's completely obliterated, you know, the so-called black woman's scalp, you know, to the point where you can't even grow your own hair. You know, I see Jake with longer hair than these so-called black women, and I had a black woman the other day tell me her hair is shoulder length, and I can't even believe she said that to me, because when she answered the door to me, you know, I saw her without her wig on. She slammed the door in my face and told me to wait 5-10 minutes for her to put on her wig, and then she turned around and told me her hair shoulder length. It did not look shoulder length, and even if it was shoulder length, that's not long hair. I know dudes with longer hair than that, and their hair is going down damn near their back, man. But you're a so-called woman and you can't grow your own hair because your mum doesn't know how to look after your hair. She burn your scalp, you know, with them hair straighteners and all this kind of stuff, because y'all like to eat filth. And you just saw that so-called black woman who was overweight because she can't look after herself. You know, if you can't look after your body, you sure as hell not going to be able to look after your hair. You know, this is just vain and just vexing to the spirit, man. And the reason why that happening is because of Isaiah 3, 3:17. Therefore the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. So, you know, the Lord's fully exposing you, man. You know, now, as men, our problem are the women, but with women, y'all are out of shape. Y'all are diabetic, pre-diabetic, have all these ailments. You can't grow your own hair, man. That's supposed to be your glory. And, you know, at the end of the day, you're so off. You know, you're meant to be our glory. But, you know, here you are acting like a complete idiot. You know, being vain over silly things, vexing yourselves and the men that you're with. And, you know, just, I gotta give it to the Lord, man. The Lord really is a man of war. You know what I mean? Because when he does something, he's real thorough with it. He'll mess up your woman, and your woman will mess you up, and now the whole family's messed up. You know what I mean? And these are part of the curses at the end of the day. But I mean, you can see how ridiculous that is, and they call it black gold. And one of the reasons why they call it black gold is because they're making gold. They're creating gold. They're buying gold by selling it to you so-called black women. You know what I mean? I'm making a killing of you. I see black women all the time with wig spray, all of this stuff. And you heard, if you listen to the video, they spent over £100 on average a month on their hair. And I remember talking to a black woman, and I said, if you were on a desert island, you know, would you wear a weave? Because I actually wanted her to admit how ridiculous it was for her to wear a weave, because she told me she bought a wig for £500, and I was like, you stupid or something? And she was like, yeah, if I was on a desert island, you know, I'd wear a wig. And I just thought to myself, man, you really are stupid. So instead of securing food and shelter, you be worrying about your wig when there's no one else on the island. And you're just saying that because you don't want to admit how stupid it makes you seem, because you know it's actually really just vain. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai. Shalom to the hopeful elect, double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS who rule well. Shalom.